What is going on, YouTube world? I'm Dave. That's Steve. That's Robert. This is the Insert Resolution Podcast, episode Jerome Bettis. Tonight we're going to talk about the last year. We've done a little before, but the craziness, the wildness, the roller coaster ride that was 2020 obviously has continued into 2021 in this first quarter plus of the year. So it's always prudent to keep these things sort of bookmarked. So we have not historical connotations down the road, but that we can sit there and be like, okay, a year in, this is what happened. This is a lot of the nonsense and fun that transpired, and we can go back and sort of have like the chapter or the book, whatever you want to call it, and go back and look at it. So we're going to hopefully bring a little of that tonight, and hopefully you guys out there and gals out there in the old viewership quadrant will chime in as well. And even after this thing goes up archived, you can comment below, and we'll always get back to you and let you know what's what. So
unless we get the random consistent comments of the lovely spam comments that we get on every episode that we upload, that Dave and I have to go back through and delete at some point. Mm-hmm. It's quite interesting, and I am not exaggerating, folks. Every one that gets uploaded, we get at least one. And it's like
the first comment.
Yep. So we try and get in there and make sure we get rid of it, just in case. Not that any of you guys are going to go clicking on random crap.
Yeah.
But as always, good evening, Paul. Good evening, Doctor. Always appreciate you guys coming and joining us. I was trying to avoid you highlighting comments just in case your phone decided to go on the fritz, Dave. So you may not see as much highlighted comments. So between Bob and I, on top of Dave. Wow, that really came out of context. Wow. Okay, can we stop and try this again?
No.
Jeez. Bingo.
Where's that on the bingo card tonight?
It's been a while since we brought up bingo, but we're all going to do our best to try and stay on top of any questions that come through. Like I said, you probably won't see him highlighted as much. Dave is having some charging issues, so we want to try and make sure that he doesn't have to do anything with his phone as near as often as what we normally do on a show. So yeah, we can do our sponsor here in a minute. I'm outside smoking, and I don't have it with me. Since everybody always anxiously awaits the sponsor. Bob, do we have a co-sponsor this evening? Or is it glass?
It's just water right now. It could change. And the funny is, I don't know if you noticed, Steve, I went back and watched some of your first videos.
Yes, I saw a comment.
Okay, so in that Allen and Ginter case break or double case break, you had that video was sponsored by I think it was Coors Light or it was Bud Light at the time, but it was 10 years ago you were doing the same thing. So consistency is important.
It is, but that was not done on purpose. It just so happened that that's what we had to drink. And for those who don't know, but that was also Sarah and Brett, who was prominent in the prime years of YouTube when I was heavily active, and so was Dave.
Dude, you had Cards Infinity commenting on your video, asking about who you got in your rip cards and stuff. They're big time now. Not you were big time, but.
No, I was never big time, ever. No, Chris and I actually used to talk frequently back in the day, but it's one of those in which relationships change, interactions change.
Yep.
I will say 3 or 4 videos ago, maybe, Chris did post another comment, which was cool to see. Chris is a good guy. He's one of those that I don't want to call, an innovator by any stretch, but, he really kind of took off in the early years of the YouTube world and built, his business model by leveraging YouTube. And if for any of you guys who take an opportunity and go way back, he used to edit every video. So every break. So he would do a personal break, and, back in the day, you'd call him or you send him an email. He'd give you the choice of numbers. So you picked what number you wanted. And then he would open it. So he'd record it and then upload it, and he would always have an intro slide, so-and-so's whatever box break. And he would do that for every video. Now, if you notice, he's got the live stream, and he does the same thing. He uploads the individual videos, but he doesn't have like the intro page. So Chris is good people. And he's still kicking ass. He's approachable. He's not one of the. He's very approachable. He's very down to earth. Very open to talking with people and things along those lines. I can't speak for all breakers, but there is like a personal side to him, and the more you interact with him, the closer you kind of get, the more information you kind of get about him. As we all know, a lot of us are guarded as far as what information we want to provide. But, the more you interact with somebody, the more you learn about somebody, the more you find out personal stuff, which, either builds the bond or, kind of puts things in a different perspective.
I'd be curious to know how he sees like the last 365 days, it's just, it's crazy for us on our level. I can't imagine on a level like that, they probably, most of them probably have employees working for them. It's not like it's a one-man show, but
it's him and his wife. Yeah. So for him, it really is a one-man show.
I think rarely there might be like a real limited part-time dude, or there was in the shop. He's never really had a full-time person under him. I remember at the shop, because he's got a shop now. Before that, he was out of his house in Wilmington, I think. And then he was at a shop before that, and he had somebody there, because I always remember him breaking, and then you could always hear in the background like the strapping tape or whatever for boxes. And then before that was the shop. I don't think the one he originally started in, but the one that I think was YouTube famous, the one next to the tattoo parlor. And that one, I don't think he wasn't doing the quantity of breaks he's done over the last, I'd say, 6 to 8 years. But I don't think he really needed anyone at that point. I'm sure he could have used help, but at that point it wasn't 40, 50, 60 breaks a day, and people were, I'd say, more lenient than they knew that it'd be a weekish or so that you got your package and you'd be happy then. But
well, he didn't.
Now he doesn't have anyone full time. It's just I've seen a guy once a week, maybe. It seems so.
Yeah, it's hard to know for sure.
Bobby, what's up?
He used to not do. What's going on, Bobby? Mike. He didn't do near the number of group breaks as he does now either. And there's Vinny.
What's going on, guys?
He did make it. But now he does a lot of breaks, group breaks. You know, back in the day, he would do like
personal
2 or 3, maybe like every week. and it was one of those in which they sold out within minutes.
Mhm.
Like 1 or 2 minutes, they would sell out. So he's always had the following, which is cool. I know a lot of individuals, even back in our heyday, still break from him from time to time. So it's cool. I love the fact that he's successful and he's doing well because, like I said, he's just an approachable, easygoing guy, and it's one of those in which he does give a crap. So got much respect for him. Sorry, I'm plugging in my laptop just to ensure that my laptop doesn't die. But now, Dave, here you go.
That is our sponsor tonight, Bud Light.
Trying to stay true to form as of late, which I've indicated that you see it in spurts. You see it in spurts. Coors Light for a time, which is what I prefer, of course, and then Bud Light because typically that's what's on sale. And yes, I can tell the difference. A lot of people swear up and down they taste kind of the same, and to a degree they do, but I can definitely tell the difference. But at least I don't go with what I call the cheap stuff.
No, that's
Both Milwaukee's.
if you go with the Beast or Schlitz or something like that, it's like, well,
Bud Ice, baby, Bud Ice in the 40 ounce.
I used to enjoy Bud Select. That wasn't bad.
I drank that when I was younger and wasn't supposed to drink, but there was nothing better than getting a 40 ounce or 2 40 ounces. You were set for the night. You were set. So how's it going, Vinny? Appreciate you joining. I
got me close, but I got here.
Well, it was one of those in which we were, chit-chatting before going live, which we always do. And I was like, I'm surprised we didn't hear anything from Vinny since I knew Dave sent it to you. And I was like, man, I know you've been working your butt off and work is kicking your tail. I was like, let's hope he can join. If not, hopefully he can at least catch us in the background for a bit and keep some sanity while he's pounding away on the keyboard.
Yeah, I said I'm going to take a break tonight and enjoy some time here.
Yeah, it's always good to have you, my friend.
Thank you.
I know Bob was looking forward to you hopefully popping in as well.
Always a good time, Bob.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We've got the big group text, and then of course, like I'm in multiple other ones. So there's one with the 4 of us that are on screen, and then there's one with Dave, me, and Vinny, and then there's one with Dave, me, and Bob. And it's like, okay, sometimes you sit there and go, okay, which one is this? Because you want to make sure, because if you're talking about maybe that you picked up something for somebody and you're wanting to share with a small handful of individuals, you want to make sure that you're not blowing the surprise or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. That would not be good.
And
What's
Bob
up,
and
Bob?
I know something you don't know of any. Ha 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 ha.
Everybody knows a lot of stuff that I don't know.
That's relative, Bob, depending on how you want to think about it. You may be
I mean, I may
in
know
the
more
know.
about Austin Meadows' catalog, but that's probably it.
I think Cheer knows more than you.
That's without a doubt. I just learned by osmosis sitting in it.
Right. I have that. Good old Goodwin champions.
Yeah, I'm just looking through a random box of nothingness, and there's True.
Yeah. 2 years he was in, always interesting pictures. For those who are in our group, go ahead.
Just some of the most horrendous art renderings out there. On occasion, you get a good one, but there's more bad than good from what I've seen. I mean, people send me like ugly cards, goofy cards, and I get my fair share of Goodwin champions for sure.
Well, that's why you ended up with the Joey Galloway horizontal quad, because I showed it one night rummaging, and you're like, "That's interesting. That fits well with my." I don't even know how to define it. Your weird, unusual, odd
Yeah, he's got a
card
few-
collection.
That might have been the glistening chest PC. I'm not sure.
Could be.
You have
But it
Zemo.
was
You guys don't have a glistening chest PC?
no.
Okay.
Only you, Bob. Only you.
Yeah.
And for those who are interested, I will be opening this up a little bit later on. Yes, I'm tilting it at an angle because I don't want to give away Chair's address. I'm feel pretty special to have Chair's address now. So I'm gonna have to find something to send him that he doesn't already have, since he pretty much has everything. And I have to look and make sure that Chair's Allen wrench isn't in here, because if it is, Cardboard Underground is going to be pissed. So
Promises have been made that's not the case. I'll spoil that much at least. But
yeah, but he could have slipped it in there.
to be continued. There could be something involving an Allen wrench coming somewhere sometime.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
In general vagueness.
So the last year. Now here's a question though, Dave, because initially the way that you had it listed, and I kind of thought about this in multiple ways. As I've shared with everybody, Dave is the mastermind in setting up the. Hello there, better half. Good to see you. Setting up the groundwork, putting up the precursors for the next week's episodes, and coming up with what we're wanting to talk about and everything. So from that perspective, Dave is the mastermind. I'm just the mouth, I guess, the talker, the foul mouth hockey oracle. And now newly acclaimed tennis oracle as of last week, if I'm not mistaken. Do we want to look at this from, because the way that you have it worded, you mentioned the last year of like the YouTube type scenario.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the market so much. We've talked about some of the records and such. We've talked about the ups and the downs as it pertains to grading influencers and everything else. We haven't really touched on the YouTube aspect of it, so to speak, as far as our experiences and what we've seen or noticed basically in the YouTube space as it pertains to the hobby itself. So me personally, I'm going to kind of try and take that approach. But before I just start rambling, we're going to eeny, meeny, miny, mo. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna get open. Anybody remember that commercial? We're gonna go with Bob first and get his take, just to see what his take is, at least from the YouTube perspective, and what you've experienced, good or bad or indifferent, just in the YouTube aspect over the last year.
A lot of frustration. If I can, going back. So for me, it all kind of starts with and sticking to YouTube. The initial, if you kind of go back a year, a lot of the videos regarding Project 2020, they were everybody had a horror story, and thankfully I wasn't one of those people. So I almost felt like I should probably, I made my video. It was a positive one. It was a good experience. And then but that was one out of like every 20 that I watched, returns for ridiculous reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of just a sign that there was an influx of people that didn't maybe see the hobby the way that I saw it, or the people that I was, associated with saw it. New blood, and I know there were a lot of new channels, and that's a good thing. And they seem like, now I'm not actively looking for channels, but then you see somebody comment on a video that you make that you don't recognize, and you click on them, and they've got under 30 or 50 subs, so you check them out. So I did see a lot of new people coming into the YouTube community as a whole, which was kind of cool. A lot of first videos are like PSA reveal videos. That was kind of a thing that I was noticing a lot. A lot of videos about hard times, because it was for a lot of people, and people depended upon sports to kind of be their outlet, and there was a lot of venting those frustrations, and then there was frustrations about the retail. We've touched on, you guys have touched on all those topics in and of themselves, but so it was, I guess the point I want to make is, like, I kind of geared away from watching. So the people that I watched shrunk tremendously. I just, and I'm allowed to be selective about what I want to watch and what I didn't. Everybody was experiencing some kind of like negativity in the hobby, and maybe they needed a break, myself included. It was funny. I did a kind of an impromptu. I think I called it an encouraging rant. A guy in the community was just expressing how YouTube was feeling like a job, and the pressure that we can put on ourselves for commenting on everybody's video, responding to everybody's comments on our videos, getting out regular content while maintaining jobs and families in a tough year. It was just, and I made a video saying, hey, if it feels like a job, you're doing something wrong. It's got to stay fun. Identify what's not fun and remove it, or just take a break. And then I don't think I made a video for like 2 months. So unintentional, but maybe it was just something I needed to hear for myself. But the good thing is, I feel like the friendships, the bonds were already, a lot of them were already in place. Steve, I don't really think we connected a year ago. Vinny, so 2020, because I kind of shrunk that circle, Dave is like the friendship broker, kind of just brought a lot of people together. Not by design, maybe by design a little bit, but when you connect well with people, I connect well with this guy, I connect well with this guy, I think we all would connect. So that's been a cool thing. So it's opened me up to a lot of like, Dave references a lot of the guys that have been on YouTube for a while, and so I was going back watching Brad's videos. This film not yet rated, Michael, I think his name, was kind of going back and watching some of his stuff. Guys that have been there and done that type of thing, I feel like, dare I say, true collectors. That's kind of what interests me. So that's where my 2020 kind of started, and stayed for quite a while, actually. So
Vinny,
kind of where I'm at
since I know,
now.
since you unmuted yourself, and it seemed as though you had a retort, whether it be positive or negative, but knowing you, Vinny, it's probably negative. No, I'm just kidding. That's only in text communication. But any thoughts?
I'm a beacon of light. It's 7 degrees of Dave Archer. That's how we all know each other. It all leads back to Dave. But yeah, it's like I said, I've been watching videos since 2016, but it wasn't until 2020 that I actually made an account on YouTube and started lurking around. And it wasn't the warmest welcome off the bat. And then it was the night where it was Hobby Palooza, and that all went kind of south. So I stumbled on the Essential Credentials with Dave and Matt. And then before I knew it, it was Dave and Steve were starting their own show. And I was here day one. And then I heard about Bob Lewis. I've watched Bob Lewis for 3 or 4 years. So, you know, when I first started out, I watched Elite Co 3, and those back pages were my big two. Every week I'd watch those two guys. And then I've said it before, I had like a list of 200 channels I would watch, and I would try to catch as much as I could. And over the years, a lot of those guys quit making videos. A lot of the ladies quit making videos. There's a couple ladies that still make videos, and I really like watching them. I can't think of her name, but her emoji is like, I think it's Mike Piazza catching, and she does a ton of box breaks, and she's really good. I just can't think of her name, but she was one of my favorites to watch. I'd watch her every week, and I try to go back and every month watch all her videos, because she always opens pretty decent product and has a collector's perspective of it. So I enjoy that. But now that I've been on multiple shows, and now with Instagram, knowing a lot of different people, it's been great. Out of all the things that have come out over the last year or two, you know, it's started here and it's moved there. So,
Well, and I think we could all agree that, 2020 kind of stirred the creation of a lot of channels, whether it be positive, negative, indifferent, depending on what perspective you want to look at. We saw the rise of investment type channels and things along those lines. I don't want to say it gave birth to those, because there was always some. We just saw a little bit more. Probably same from an Instagram perspective. Me being new to Instagram, I can only speak from my experience. I do know there's a few of them out there. But at the same time, and really the basis of our show is really the building the friendships. Dave always ends it to the same connotation of it. It really is about the friendships and the connections. And that was definitely evident from my perspective. Yes, I'm an old school YouTuber. I've been making videos for 10 years, over 10 years now, I think. And I can attest to what Bob was alluding to, that, there were times in which it felt like a job to make videos, to make sure you watched videos, to make sure you commented and things along those lines. It took the fun out of it. And, that's, in me personally, that's one of the main reasons why I always tell everybody, I watch your stuff. One of those thumbs up is going to be from me. I watch your videos, but I don't always comment. And not that I can't, not that I shouldn't, not that I don't have anything to say. It's one of those in which sometimes from my perspective, when I've been around as long as what I have, it seems to be like some of the comments become repetitive across multiple channels and things along those lines. And it's, to me, that takes away from its intention, which is why, unless it's, something huge or something along those lines that's, earth shattering, or an Eleanor, or, you've reached a milestone, things along those lines. Those I do try and spend a little bit of time and, at least acknowledge. But if it wasn't for 2020, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, Bob. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to Vinny. Dave and I wouldn't have reconnected like we did. And his genius of doing this podcast, we never really expected it to continue with as long as what it has. This is something I look forward to every week, whether I've had a good day, bad day. It doesn't matter. This is a time in which I can be with my friends, share the passion of collecting, and having good conversation. We can agree on things. We can disagree upon things. We all bring different perspectives because of our years of collecting, or our collecting scope, or what sport we collect. It's all invaluable to the overall collecting mentality, which is what I enjoy the most. Carlos hasn't piped in yet. I expect him at some point to jump in here. Then again, this episode, he may be working out again like he did last week, which, is fine as well. But we know we know he watches. But I would have never interacted with Carlos. I would have never broke out of my comfort zone, which I know is unusual for a lot of you folks to realize, that if you go back and watch some of my early videos, they sucked. They were horrendous because I was nervous as hell. You notice there's a time in which it took forever before I even revealed my face. Not that I was trying to hide who I was. It was just I didn't feel comfortable doing it. DC and I had long conversations about it, and he's like, it's surprising that you say that because you seem so comfortable. Well, this is normal for me now, but it's because YouTube helped, and then work has forced it, because I'm on a lot of video calls. So it's one of those in which, when you're forced to be on video consistently, you pay attention to your mannerisms, you get comfortable. But I have to say that the friendships was the most positive aspect from the YouTube perspective. Dave? Bob, go ahead.
I'll just chime in real quick being that we are all like-minded collectors in that sense, I feel like we all sort of were seeing and experiencing the same things, right? So that just sort of and for me anyways, I leaned on a lot of you guys, because there was I almost needed to hear. I mean, there was stuff that I sold too early on, and I needed to hear from my friends hey, it's all right. You think you're the only one that's done something like that, or you know what I mean? And then they remind me well, you did get a Clemente rookie from a Mark McGuire card with no with no pockets on his pants, and so it just helps the perspective. It's easy for me to kind of dwell in the muck and mire, and I lean on my friends to kind of help me to be that beacon of light, as Vinny had mentioned. So I think that just strengthened those bonds a little bit more, since we were all kind of going through it at the same time.
Well, and the nice thing about it is, Bob, speaking of good old Project 2020, since Bob brought it up, that is the one thing that's nice about the group, that, if any of us have a conundrum or need a reality check, or, and I don't mean that in a derogatory or a negative way either, or, just to be able to vocalize what's kind of going on in our head in reference to A, B, or C, and just to hear other people's perspectives and opinions. Let's be real, a lot of it is opinions, But when you have individuals that come from different aspects of the collecting realm, then, it like I said, it puts things into a different perspective, gives you an opportunity to look at additional options that maybe that you didn't think about in your own mind, or the fact that if for any reason we don't notice something, like for instance, I'm just going to throw it out there. I reached out to Carlos this morning because there was silence from Carlos yesterday in our group text. I don't know if anybody else noticed. There was not a single text from Carlos. And I reached out to him this morning. I'm like, dude, are you good? Because normally he comes back with something. It may be later in the evening because if he's got stuff going on at work or whatever, he mutes the text and stuff, which we get and we all understand. Work is, of course, the priority for all of us. That's how we pay the bills and, take care of the family and our responsibility. Shut up, Dave. Yes, I do pay attention. But he's like, no, I'm good. Phone service was out. So, which would be a good reason as to why he couldn't text. It's one of those in which we all look out for one another. We all care about each other. It is kind of like the extended family. And if it wasn't, and I don't want to say if it wasn't for 2020 and COVID and things along those lines, that we would be in the same situation or anything along those lines. It's always a possibility, but I think that helped because this gave us an avenue to get out of the doldrums, as Dave would put it, of dealing with lockdown and things along those lines. So it really did open up those doors to create those bonds and those friendships.
Yeah, without a certain video in last February, I wouldn't have found Carlos. I mean, if you want to start a campfire, you use kindling and wood, not other things. So when he made his video, I'm like, because I don't know if anybody, especially the guys on screen with me right now, has noticed, I usually fixate on things, not just for a day, not for 6 hours, maybe not even 2 days. It's the brain doesn't let things go. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or anybody in the chat or afterwards. I mean, it's might be breaking news. I don't know. So when you see that, you always want to know people's responses because again, it can vary. So when I saw Carlos and I'm like, okay, I don't know who this dude is at all. I will listen to his 29 minutes of rambling and not ranting, but just Carlos being Carlos, but before we knew what Carlos being Carlos meant. So I saw him there and I'm like, okay, I can get into this, and I subscribed. So I'm like, oh, that way at least I can see what he brings to the table. If it wasn't anything I cared about, just unsubscribe. Then, like Bob said, with all the Project 2020 stuff, you'd see that just littering your feed. And even in the periphery. It was everywhere. It's like, why are these selling so much? This is stupid art. This is dumb. This is great. It's like, okay, you've got opinions. That's good. That's when something comes to the table and everybody can talk about it and doesn't have to be you're marching in one straight line, thumbs up or thumbs down. That's good. You don't need everybody in one group or another. But then all the negative stuff came out with. It's like the Griffey Shore, what was that? That was a little later on that was at the beginning of May, middle of May-ish sometime. I think that came out and just that was the one that pretty much sank the Titanic. But seeing that, then you see, and I'll plug him here because I started watching, and that's where I really gravitated more towards the hockey. Was Jeremy on Sports Cards Live watching people talk hockey. I'm like, I'm just getting back into hockey after it is an extended absence because I'd still pick up stuff. It wasn't like I'd go dormant and then pick up stuff. If you've watched the cavalcade of horrors that are my videos the last 11 years, you would see that I've picked up hockey through those 11 years. It's not all the time, but I'll get the wild hair up my butt and I'll start picking up hockey for like a month or so, then I go off it. So I'm like, okay, I'm knee deep in it again, soon to be like thigh high, waist deep. And so watching his stuff and watching people talk hockey on there, I'm like, well, this is cool. I mean, you don't, in my 10 plus years at that, or just about 10 years at that time, on YouTube, there wasn't much hockey. Again, I don't know what nook and cranny they were in, if they were, but I didn't see it. And that's always something, inserts always have been my bread and butter. So when you're talking a little bit about that, and then leading up to like the expo that they postponed, but then was on, I don't know, end of June on a platform, that came on. And so I'd see Jeremy on there. Then Carlos and Amit were on there. So I'm talking hockey with all these guys. And then that just forged more. And then really getting Matt more into the hockey. That helped as well. Because you could tell he hadn't done anything since he was a youngster with hockey. So he had all kinds of enthusiasm and excitement and asking questions, which I knew he would say, I hate asking a question. I'm like, don't hate. Don't hate, educate. So it was fun building the relationship with him. Then you came in, Vinny, on that episode. And again, I'd seen you were posting a bit, and it's like, well, if he's wanting to know again, if he's asking, and it's not something dumb like, did Mario Lemieux have 3 legs? Well, maybe behind in the locker room. I don't know. I wasn't privy to those images, but you asked stuff or you wanted to know stuff that we could at least, if not answer, guide you to, or look in the Beckett and try to figure stuff out. And then you just keep going, and it's like, well, I wanted to get on and do something because people have told me I've got some knowledge. Steve, I wanted to get back into the game too because I know he had knowledge. He still does, shockingly. I mean, it's an ever encompassing paradigm of excitement, interests, topics. The crocheting.
Bullshit. Excuse.
So I wanted to get something going where it wasn't an interview-based situation. I mean, I don't mind those shows, but at the same time, we don't need 30 of them. And the guests are getting recycled over and 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 over again. There's only so many questions you can ask the same person from 6 different hosts when they're all looking at it basically from the same vantage point. There wasn't a hangout for like insert-minded folks, which it was going to start as just basically football inserts. When Matt was on, I don't even know what episode it was, get some of the hockey, and then that sort of sucked a few more of the hockey guys in a little deeper. Because, I mean, everybody commented up until that point, but I think get more hockey guys watching, and then everybody just started making the Tuesday night their routine. It was fun. It was where a lot of people either got shuffled out to working from home or didn't have a job. I still got to be with all the fun people at my job. In person, hooray. Where you had government leaders, and again, we won't go into politics because Minnesota is just a hotbed of excitement. But to say, hey, do your shopping once a week, once every 2 weeks, load up if you can. And you still get people in there with their little basket and picking up a newspaper and apple a quart of milk, and I'm like, you don't need to be in every day. It's nice if you can go away. I got to see the people, so to have myself be the friendship broker, where I really do not like people. And again, that's another shocking turn of events that I'm laying at your feet, all of you listeners and viewers. I enjoy that. That's the one thing I enjoyed probably the most. I mean, cards, I can make a 10-hour video of everything I picked up last year and all the stuff I sold, which helped me pick up stuff. Which, again, the investor flipper, all those clowns came in, did whatever they did to jack up prices. I was able to move stuff to get some grails, to get some stuff I really, really wanted to get, some stuff that I never thought I'd have the chance to get. So to have a show be on its 36th episode, to have friends that I won't say we're lost, but I mean, we disconnected, and then have people you knew, but you really didn't talk to, and then you didn't know, and build something that, again, it's great to build up the viewership and all that stuff. But when there's no connection between the people and the viewers, how valid or how important really are the viewers to you? If you can't call them your true friends, it really doesn't matter in the end. So the cards are fun. Cards are always fun. The journey with cards, buying, selling, trying to acquire, is always going to have the roller coaster. You got stupid people out there wanting stupid prices. You want good people wanting solid prices. You want good people wanting stupid, but will work with you to a common goal. If you can try to avoid the stupid people, that's always the best. But again, it's life. It's tough. They procreate at a rapid rate. I'd almost say they're like rabbits. That's fun. The journey with cards, intertwined with friends, and you can, like everybody said, commiserate when there's a loss. You can try to pick the person up, but most of the time it's let them wallow for a few days, because it's in a few weeks. That'll be a spoiler alert for a topic in a few weeks. You have that, and then you can relish in the win of something huge. You may have paid too much. If they don't care, it doesn't matter. They won something they really wanted. Or if you get a steal, if you're like, Christ, I was going to pay $80 for this, I got it for 15. High fives all around. I don't think we'll ever see, I hope not, at least when we're alive, or our kids are alive, or our grandkids, or whatever the case may be, anybody within like 4 or 5 strains of DNA from us will be alive to ever see a shit show like the last year has been, in every sense of the word. Sports get shut down. Politics are beyond circus. The COVID stuff, hobbies, just everything in general. If they can avoid all that, but still pick up the stuff that was valuable and always will be valuable to us and people that are like us, the like-minded folks. Is it worth it? It probably was worth it. And it was. Was it a hell of a ride? Yeah. Will we ever see it again? Hopefully not. But from that year, we can always build on what we've learned and the friendships we've forged and the people that either come into or left our lives that they've left for a reason. It's been fun. And the YouTube part too, I've noticed, and it's not a shock there either. And I'm not just saying this because of my general disdain for the person involved, but it's always odd to see the lead up to a fictional Hall of Fame where people, you want to talk about flooding video, not streams, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the clogging up everything with videos to push, like, hey, I'm still here, I'm still here. That was very evident this year. Very evident, where you'd see people that were dormant for the first half of the year, first 2/3 to 3/4 of the year. All of a sudden, like a sarcophagus, pushing away the tomb, emerging, the beacon of light shining down on them, the YouTube gods saying, push record, upload. It happened, but this year it was unbearable. If you're going to be part of a community, you don't have to make a video every month. You don't have to make a video at all. You can be on other streams, shows, and you can comment a lot. You're still part of that community. But when you disappear for 8-10 months completely, and then all of a sudden it's like the boulder rolling down the hill, I question motives then.
It's interesting you bring that up, because my gut told me that somehow, shape, form, or fashion, which is why I posed the premise of focusing on the YouTube aspect of the last year. Who was going to go down that road? And knowing Dave the way I know Dave, I knew you would champion that in. And I think it's a valid discussion point, because you go back when that was open, the rash of uploads from individuals, whether it be those that were in contention, whether or not those that, wanted to have their voice heard, whatever it may be. But here we are come April, and actually coming up on near the end of April for that matter. And although, yes, I wasn't subscribed to a lot of those channels, I will say that from those videos, I did find some other channels to watch. I don't watch them as frequent as, the main individuals that I really try and make sure I support. But it is drastically reduced, the amount of videos that are in the feed. Is it unfortunate? To a certain degree, maybe, for some individuals. But from my standpoint, I could care less. Like I said, I have my small list of people that I make sure that I watch. Sometimes I get a little behind. But, it's one of those in which other things sometimes take precedent. It's called life. It's called, adulting, so to speak. But, at the same time, it is an unfortunate situation. And, I always go back to what I consider the golden years of YouTube, to where, even if you had 15 or 20 people that you followed religiously and you watched all their videos, there was still a consistent trend. You could almost guarantee that there was at least 4 or 5 videos on a daily basis that you knew that you could watch at some point. And this is not a jab on any of those that I still watch. Those are still limited because, sometimes it is difficult to pick up things to where it's worthy of a video. I know Dave thinks different, for certain individuals, if it's not card related, just make a freaking video. Tell me what's going on type situation. Because Dave just wants to know. And that's just his way of, continuing to try and connect to people. Which, like he says, is really interesting since he normally hates people. But we're different because we share like minds. We share the passion of collecting the good, bad, and the different. All right, everybody, stop recording now. Bob is back, so Chair has gotten his moment in time. If you did not take advantage to take pictures and video of Chair, your time has passed. I'm sorry.
He'll be back.
Did you have to go adult, Bob?
It was bedtime, yes. Gotta say our prayers and all that.
And that.
Yep.
And that.
Tuck the kiddos in. I get it. I miss those. I miss those days. So enjoy it while you have it, Bob, because once they get bigger, it's like they don't care.
At this point.
Well, I didn't say I'm still not the coolest guy in my kids' world. It's not the same. Once they get to those teenage years, they don't want dad to tuck them in. So enjoy it while you can. So brings back memories. I'm jealous. I'm jealous in a multitude of ways, Bob. And I know I can't believe I just said that live on the show. But yes, I'm jealous of Bob Lewis in more ways than one. But and I'm jealous of Vinny too. No, but I'm not jealous of Chair at all. But so it
asked him the whole night.
But any other comments, path we want to take as it pertains to the last year before we'll close off at least the early part of the show with what we think it's going to be like a year from now as it pertains to like the YouTube aspect.
I just like about 8 comments up what the better half did on Dave's speech.
About this being days of our lives or whatever.
Yeah, I think.
As the world turns.
But that's fitting because it's our own little soap opera, I guess. It's the chronicles of our lives. Like sands through the hourglass. We're not monetized, so I can say that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So Benny, we'll start with you this time. What do you foresee the YouTube dynamic looking like a year from now? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different? And these are opinions. There's no right or wrong answers, as you know.
It's harder for me to find new videos that catch my eye like it did in the beginning. Everything was so new and fresh in 2016 when I started watching. So everything was new to me. Watching everybody was just brand new. But after you've watched all the different videos, the videos that are coming out now, they're all the same thing. There's no one that's doing something in their own curve to it. Everybody throws a different curveball. And I think that's what keeps things fresh. We know what's coming from you. It's going to be about TD. It's going to be about it, but that's what we want to watch. It's the personal touch to it that does it for me. But watching a video, how much is this? How much is that? Is this 2K? Will you do 1,700? Will you do this? It gets boring after a while. It seems like more of the videos now are people going out trying to buy stuff. And while it's interesting, I like, even if you're telling a story behind it, it helps. But if there's no rhyme or reason of why you're doing this other than to chronicle you go into a card show and buying stuff, at the end have a recap that says, okay, here's what I was doing. And I was looking for this, this, and this because of X, Y, and Z. Now it's just this deal, that deal, this deal, that deal. It's why. What's the why behind it? What's why are you doing all this? What's the purpose of you making the videos? Well, that, and I just, I guess I'm looking for substance, and it's harder to find it.
No, and that's valid. I don't disagree with that assessment by any stretch of the imagination, because I could see that being the case potentially. Bob, what are you thinking it's going to be like a year from now in this dynamic?
Well, I'm gonna make it my personal mission to make curveball videos. I have, I mean, like, so Dave's not able to shut off his brain and let stuff go. I can't shut off my brain for videos that I want to make. Because for one, I am very easily amused, especially by myself. If I make a video and I'm the only one that thinks it's funny, I'm okay with that. But I have an obscure sense of humor, and I think some people get it. And I've got a lot of ideas to make videos, and I think this is going to be the year that I'm just going to stop making mail day videos. Well, I'll say stop, but instead of like every 10th video being a strange one, I think every 10th video will be a normal one, maybe. So just give people something different to watch. So that's my personal mission. I don't see any reason to change. One question for people to really change, as long as they are making money and doing their thing, and that's fine. I just you know it. So I watch a breaker. I got in a break, right? So then I so now I sub to that channel, and they do like you can buy packs, single packs off their website, and they'll open them on camera. And it's when I read the live stream of people just clamoring to be noticed by like said breaker, it's like, that's pathetic. I mean, I'm just, that's my opinion. And so like I kind of laugh and marvel at just that need for attention, says the guy who makes videos who also needs attention. I don't know, man. Like I want to know all the investor channels where they're going to be once their investment advice starts flopping. Are they still going to be making videos? Are they going to admit that they were wrong on this video? Or I don't know. Like I'm interested to see where it all goes. But I think in the same vein as the hobby will sustain, it'll always be around no matter the people that come in and out of it. I think the idea of like the YouTube community and people that just are genuinely invested in each other's lives and collections, I think that will always be there, and just an opportunity for more bonds to be made, and that's a good thing. You got to try to err on the side of positive. This has been, the YouTube experience has been nothing but like a good thing for me, because that's the only parts that I can continue to sort of invest in. If I get a negative vibe from, dude, I just don't watch their channel. Like Carlos says, like, just don't watch it. I mean, if you don't like what I'm doing, don't watch it. It's too easy to kind of now I'm okay with people calling out hypocrisy, because it's out there, and if we're keeping each other informed, that should be across all levels. But I think the heart of the community will sustain.
I would agree. In the overall scope of things, I still think we're going to see people go for whatever reason, for whatever purpose that may be, personal, monetary. It's a multitude of, or a cornucopia, as Dave would put it, potential of why people come and go. I'm interested to see how many individuals that are past or current Hall of Fame members ride off into the sunset. Partially because, well, we're trying to impeach you, Bob. You don't count. But it's one of those in which it's the 5 minutes of fame, notoriety, look at me, which, I still don't understand. But it'll be interesting to see how many of those come and go. And here comes Carlos. You don't have kids, so you don't understand, Carlos. So I'll leave it at that. Nor can you speak on that aspect. Well, yeah, I guess you can, but it wouldn't be because of experience. Yes, that was a jab. But at the end of the day, these individuals, for whatever reason, seek that sort of need for recognition. And not only that, I think we're going to see channels disappear on the basis of them being collector focused and find out that they're not. And the reason I say that is the individuals within this community, to a certain degree, it's very cyclical. History does repeat itself. Mm-hmm. And Dave and I can speak from experience because we go way back. We saw a lot of channels come in on the basis of the collector mentality and find out that later on they disappear and find out that that was never their intent. I can sit here and say I was accused of that, but guess what, folks? I'm still here. I'm still collecting. I'm still sending care packages because that's who I am. And for anybody who thought different, they, for whatever reason, personal experience, or they got the wrong idea, or, the hair rose on the back of their, whatever it may be. It is what it is. But I'm still here. I'm still doing the same stuff that I've always been doing. I've always been the same person. And the only difference is we're doing it now on a weekly basis. I'm engaging in conversation, continuing to build friendships, sending cards with no strings attached, helping others out with no concept of monetary value. Because that's me. That's who I am. And from that perspective, I'm very selective of those that I allow to be that close to me, because I do have a giving nature. And because of one situation and circumstance led to somebody being jaded and for whatever reason forming a different opinion about me. And that's fine. I can't please everybody. I can't be friends with everybody. I'm okay with that.
And nor do you want to be.
And that is correct.
It's a lot of care packages to send out if you're friends with everybody.
But as I've always said, I've sent out more than what I've ever received, because that's what I like to do. That's what makes it enjoyable for me. And there's a certain somebody on this stream right now that needs to get to providing lists, because of this package over here that I will get to at some point this evening.
So
as long as it doesn't get too late.
Yeah, that. I just want to say if I'm watching a channel and maybe I'm not as familiar with it, I was talking with another guy in the community's channel is Walk and Balk. His name's Brian. He's a good guy. He's one of us, I would say. But we were talking and just kind of about, just how his last year has been. It was kind of a catch-up conversation after not having chatted for a while. And we both sort of agreed, like, if within your videos that you make, if you feel like you have to qualify yourself as a collector, like, and I'm not an investor, I'm not trying to pull a fast one here. Like, if you need to do that, I'm already suspect. Like, we can tell. We'll know by you just being yourself, by the way that you talk, the way that you interact with, we'll see you commenting on other people's videos, we'll see you engaging in the community. Like, it'll just happen. Like, I feel like some people want to prove that too soon, and it turns me off. Like, I'll toss you a sub or something if you ask for it, but like, I don't know. Like, that was kind of when I first got in, that was like the big, like, taboo thing, like sub for a sub, and like it just sort of rubbed you the wrong way, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know you. I've never seen you. You got 2,000 subs and you're asking for just more subs. Like, what are you about? And that's not, I don't know. Come on. I'd rather somebody with who cares how many subs, but they're a genuine person. I don't care if you collect 91 Pro Set cards, if you talk about them in the way that, like, what they mean, the why part of it, Vinny, I'm into that. So that's, I want something real. I don't want, or at least if you are going to be a dealer or invest, be very transparent about it, and from the get-go. And I know guys that are, and that sits better with me, or it's a little bit more palatable, we'll say.
I'll finish up one of Steve's points earlier. It always is tough to put yourself out there. He mentioned about making a face video, basically. I don't even go back. I never go back and watch any of my stuff, any of this ever. I think Steve has asked, hey, do we say something, or do we bring something up on the show? I'm like, I don't know. I don't watch. I don't like the sound of my voice. It's something where in here it sounds this way. When I hear it, and I can't deal with it. And I talk enough, so I don't need to listen. I already have the multitude of thoughts tumbling around in the head. But that's one where I know it took me a while, because again, even the first video, I remember shooting my first video sitting at the kitchen table and just showing off cards, and I deleted it because I'm like, this isn't what I want. I don't know what I want, but this isn't it. But I'd show my dog, Naomi, and cards, and then I think eventually I showed the face. I don't know if it was a Celine Dion video or what, but those are the videos I like doing where you said the crazy stuff. Though I've got so many parodies for songs in my head that I start, and it's because of collecting, and I just sit there at work because work is a mundane existence. And I have at least seven or so songs, I think I told Steve, at least 7 that in my head that I can go through off of a song that we've all known, and then I try to piece stuff together during it, collecting wise or even YouTube wise or whatever, because I'm the focus of collecting, even though I don't sit and like the text, I don't text all the time usually because I'm done with people. Even though I want to interact, I'm like, when work's over, I need to be Colin Kaepernick. I need to just take a knee and not worry about anything because you get overload. But I don't know where I was going. That's all right. It's happened before. The next year, though, I say you'll hear more excuses for not wanting to make content, videos, whatever the case may be. You'll hear reasons and true or false, like, oh, I can't collect, it's too expensive, it's this and that. You have to not change with the times, but you have to mold your collection to what you can fit in the budget. Even if it's, let's say I want to collect Ichiro rookies. Well, good luck now. I mean, they're not $5 anymore at the bargain tables or the bargain boxes. You're going to have to pay up for them. You're going to have to go a different avenue if you want to collect or continue that collection. But instead of bitching about it, pick up or completely go away from what you collect. If that's not what you want to do, say, well, you know what? I like so-and-so, Jay Bruce, Ryan Howard,
Whit Merrifield,
somebody, Ziggy Palfy. You know, that's a budget buster too. Go that way. I'm hoping that gets erased because I'm tired of hearing that topic being broached where you can't collect anymore. Well, some stuff you can't collect anymore unless you want to pay up for it. If you don't, or in the second hour, shut the fuck up about it. Stop bringing it up. If you want to bring up something negative, bring something that's pertinent. Everything in the hobbies went up. Christ, penny sleeves are up. So when you talk about the lowest of the low rungs up until the big guns, everything's gone up. That's part of the hobby. If you haven't noticed that in the last 18 months, I would recommend going to the optometrist.
In the last 5 years.
Well, yeah.
6 years. It's just been more noticeable now because of the outlets in which are just spilling out the information. That's the difference.
But I hope people that if you don't find this hobby fun, you don't like it, get the fuck out. I'm a sour person because I work with people. I work with idiots. I have to interact with idiots. That's why I'm grumpy. I don't like people. I'm not on Lake Superior enjoying the waves crashing all the time. If I was, I may have a different outlook on life. But if everything in the hobby, in any regard to anyone, if you get so sour about it, just go away. That's something where I know Steve touched on it too. It's like where people they'd make a big stink about it. It's like, don't worry about it. Just if something aggravates you that much and you can control it by not watching. I mean, there's one person everybody knows I love. Everybody. It's not a shock. The group text when it's all just don't watch. You control it. Don't watch. Don't watch. I'm aware of this. But those are the people I want to try to put their money where their mouth is, especially since I know the Republicans, they've got a lot of money and a lot of guns. It's something I don't think I'll ever be content with just because that's who I am. I don't like fake people. But if something annoys you to that degree where you're like, I don't want to do this. This sucks. That sucks. You suck. You suck. Those suck. Just click the end button and walk away. 5-finger death punch. Walk away. Make it easy on yourself.
Practice what you preach.
But I don't go through near as much visceral hatred unless I see something that has no bearing on one's life, like a Major League All-Star game and the location of it. Who the fuck cares? It's an exhibition game that nobody gives two fucks about, ever. I don't even remember the last time I watched a full one. Josh Johnson pitched one, I taped it, and YouTube took it down the next day. That's the last one I think I watched. And that was 10 or 11. It's like stuff like that. It's great to have an opinion. I'm fine with it. 100% fine. But if things get bugging you on here, on life, or in life, walk away from said things and find those new doors, those new avenues, old doors. Find what makes you happy. And I'm hoping that's what the YouTube community sort of does in this next year. Wash away the shit that's floating ashore and get back our beach to where we can all relax on it.
Well said by everybody. I don't think anybody could argue. It's Doge. To the moon. So I will share one pickup. So I'll spoil. Well, I won't spoil it all. So this is one of those situations, and normally if I would broaden my searches a little bit more, I could probably do a lot more of these pickups. But I really look more for opportunities to add, of course, to the Terrell Davis collection. But I did pick up a lot of 10 cards from Momentum. And reason for it is it did have 2 Terrell Davises that I need in the collection. But with my little bit of eBay bucks before they, of course, go away, I paid $5 shipping and tax for this lot. So 50 cents a card. So from that perspective, I'm not complaining. And, of course, I even got to add one to the Broncos collection, so to speak. But these are all out of 99 playoff momentum. So that's the X's of Ed McCaffrey, numbered to 300. This is one I already had, but G-Force. It's a cool card, not numbered, but foily and shiny. Jake the Snake.
Nice.
Which I love. That one's numbered to 300. This was actually probably not worth the shipping, but Wayne McGarity obviously was a reason they put him in there. I'm guessing, was he a rookie that year, Dave? 99?
I think he was, a Texas guy? I think, maybe, if you look. I don't know if he's
well, let me look at the back. Was he from Texas? Because if it is, then that becomes the other collection. It doesn't say on the back, but Stargazing. These aren't numbered. They do have parallels of these, but Tim Dwight, Antonio Freeman, stud in his own right. We got Dave's boy, Drew Bledsoe, was my boy too at some point. Did you ever bother to check to see if you needed that, Dave? If not, I'm just going to set it aside anyways.
I haven't yet.
And then everybody's favorite, Tim Couch, Hog Heaven. But like I said, I did get 2 Terrell Davises to add to the collection out of the lot, which I'll show at some point, probably next month when I do my monthly video, since that's what it's really boiled down to because the pickups have been limited. And at some point, like I said, for those who join late, I will open this big old pouch of stuff from the infamous chair, which I'm actually looking forward to ripping into because, like I said, I know what the bulk of it is. So Mr. Lob hooked me up with helping with a substantial chunk of 2 different sets I'm working on.
And actually,
so 2020.
The dude has since couple. I think we had like 6 hangers he found the other day. So I might have I forget it. One was Julio Urias, and I forget who the other one.
Duffy.
Oh, Danny Duffy. Yeah.
Yep. So I reached out to Dave and I asked him. I was like, if you decide to not do the set, let me know if you have it.
Mm-hmm.
If he decides to do the set, it's all going to be based on his conversations with the kiddo. Then I have dupes that I'll send him, and you can, of course, keep that. And eventually I'll just pull them myself, or, maybe Bob, you can.
Yeah. You
should have gotten your package today.
I did. It's somewhere.
Okay.
It's somewhere.
Well, because he was. Yeah, so he was working on a couple of the insert sets, so I was able to knock out one set for him and add to one of the other ones he's working on. And I'll keep picking them up if now we got Lewis's chair in the room. Bob. That's not it is the picture of chair. I was beginning to say, wait a minute, that's not a picture of chair. But it is, now that I can see the boxes in the background. If I come across additional, hangers or whatever, I'll keep picking them up. So I may end up pulling the 2 cards I need, and I may still be able to help you add to the other insert sets. I'm not going to disclose unless you choose to do so, Bob. But I will say there's almost everything I was missing for 2021 Top Series 1, which was freaking awesome. And then quite a few for the 98-99 Topps Chrome basketball set. Yes, I said basketball.
I couldn't remember. I couldn't believe I didn't have Muggsy Bogues. I was like, why? How do I have? Yeah, just weird.
So I have been watching Paul Pierce and Vince Carter. I've putting them on the watch list frequently, tried to get a feel.
Are they still about $100?
It depends. So really nice centered ones are there's the red he ended up getting. That's a 101. Should have been uncirculated, but somebody pulled it out of the uncirculated whatever. Okay. Well, you at least partially have it.
Yeah, it's not to interrupt, but I did.
So yeah, it's really good centered ones are depending on when the auction ends, Bob. And I'm only quoting auctions. Sometimes you can get it for about $70. So who owes who a Coke, or a beer, I should say. But the Vince Carter has actually dropped a bit. Well, actually, no, it's Pierce that's dropped a bit because I think I read something. He's no longer doing stuff for ESPN or something along those lines for whatever reason. So for whatever reason, that kind of like hit his card market, at least from a rookie perspective. The Vince Carter is holding pretty steady about where it is. So it's It's reasonably it's feasible to complete it sooner than later because that's the two big ones that I need. And I of course I kept your text so I know the players, but I did at least update my checklist to know specifically which ones I'm missing so I can focus on those. So yeah. Look at all the damn one-on-ones.
I hope to own a superfractor one day.
Well, Austin Meadows is at least in Chrome the last couple of
Yep.
years, so it's possible.
I made a run at his non-auto, his up 2018 Chrome update non-auto superfractor, and I put out some trade value, and I'm actually thrilled the guy did not take it. So, because
I remember that was one of our lengthy discussions last summer.
Yeah, man.
Because I remember a particular German basketball player, SP Authentic PSA 10, that
Yes.
said, do not include that. And as much as I'm sure you would have wanted that super, that I still think you were giving up a king's ransom for it.
Oh well, his loss.
Exactly.
Your game in that sense.
Absolutely.
Remember, positive. Who is that, Dave? I know it's a gold out of 10, but
Yeah, Dumba. That one was a steal.
define steal for Dumba.
For a Prism rookie auto, and I was like 55 shipped. And that's the first one I think I've seen in my years of collecting them. So,
Deal.
and then the one that doesn't even look like anything because you can't even pick up that stupid print on it.
Is that the UD Choice Reserve?
The
How
prime
many
one.
years of Prism hockey were there?
Just the one.
1 year.
13,
Wow.
14. Same with Select.
And they were gorgeous.
There's that 1 year of Prism. I only know it from football where they had like every one, like the photos were like up close, pretty like I have a Merino, and it takes up pretty much like the whole card. Is that year, or is that? I think it's 13 or 14. It's like right around there. It's not the first year, but it's
I
sharp
think 13. I think 13 is the one where it's like basically like the Topps big heads or whatever.
right. Fun packs.
Yeah. Yeah, that Prism I've got, and I've never seen it. And again, there's some leaner times when I didn't look for Dumba as often as I do now, but I haven't seen the Finite, but I've got the Jonas Brodin non-auto Finite, the black one. So, and that one cost me a whopping like $40.
Then he's showing off all the Prism and Select parallels.
So those were all just Prism.
There's so
Oh, I thought I saw one that was Select.
Oh, yeah, there is one Select, the cracked ice.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Don't question me, Vinny. Oh, I better watch it. I may get the dislike in the group chat tomorrow. I would just like to say I'm going to go on record for as long. So we're going on what, 3 weeks now? The group chat, the group text. I can say I was the first one that ever got a dislike from anybody in the group text. I take pride in that.
You guys must
You're
have
welcome.
iPhones or something. I
Do
don't
what,
have that
Bob?
I don't have that capability to dislike a comment. Is that
No,
right?
I don't.
It's an iPhone thing.
Yeah.
It has to be an iPhone thing. Liking an image or emphasizing an image or disliking something, that's an iPhone thing. But yeah, it was one of the. Hell, it's been a while. but I was the
I'm
first.
the most recent then.
Yes, you were the most recent, Bob.
I
Yes.
don't even remember what it was. I've blocked it out of my mind. I just can't wrestle with the idea that somebody disliked something that I did.
That is an awesome patch. 18 hand numbered. That's one thing I can say about hockey. The patches are normally like freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, there's some, and that's Panini. What they did too with the Panini Prime, they had logo pieces and number pieces, and I mean, there's a guy on Instagram he collects Bure. There's about 3 or 4 of them that I follow, and he's got one with that early to mid '90s Vancouver with like the I call them the caramel corn, like the dark, they're the black, the orange, the white, and the yellow, and it's just, it must be from like the middle of something, because it's 4 or 5 colors, and it's just thread count is off the chains, as the kids would say nowadays. And I'm like, good Lord, I'd love to have that, but knowing these guys and what they probably would pony up for something like that, not a chance.
I think it's off the Heezy.
Off the Heezy for Sheezy.
Yeah, off the change, maybe going back. I think you're dating yourself there, Dave, as it pertains to the current lingo.
Well, I'll go listen to some De La Soul then.
Yeah, I think people have a tendency, though, to forget just because it's a nice patch doesn't mean that it, takes a king's ransom. You have to consider the player. And I think a lot of people still fail to forget that, fail to realize that is a thing. Just saying.
Yeah, when you've got Dumba, and I know there's been, I think 2 or 3 others, and they got the starting bid just south of $100. I'm like, really? I know it's a cool card. It's a great patch. It's Matt Dumba. It's not Gretzky. It's not even Crosby or Malkin or somebody else. It's Matt Dumba. As good as he is, it's not somebody they're already getting the shrine for the Hall of Fame ready for him. So,
Hey, better half, it's the nephew calling. What was it? The nephew, Vinny?
Yes, it was.
the 10 o'clock ritualistic call to the better half. Is it bad that I know these things?
It's usually to me.
Yes, but usually, as of late, at least when I've experienced it, you and I have been engaged in conversation, so the better half gets stuck with taking the phone call. Have you not told him it's illegal to call on Tuesday nights for both of you?
Nah, he's going to work, so he always calls me before work. So,
Gotcha.
and it's snowing here, so.
Which is nuts.
So that's when Galaxy came running down here, and Ghost is out in the backyard right now with Dryden, and then Galaxy's shot down here, going nuts. He's covered in snow.
We're actually under a freeze warning tonight in the freaking late April. I don't think it's going to get that cold, but I think they're saying, they're saying freeze warning, which means, 32, but I don't know. That's interesting, but, it is what it is.
With 70 degrees today, they're calling for snow tomorrow. It's in Pittsburgh.
Yep. It was 65 here yesterday, and we got snow today.
it was freezing yesterday. It was still freezing today. Less wind. And I know next week, I'll say by the end of the weekend, Steve, you may have some good severe weather your way. I've been looking at that for a few days now, and they're saying next Tuesday, which happens to be the 10-year anniversary in Alabama. So here's your weather tidbit for the night. Again, if you look up Tuscaloosa tornado, April 27th, 2011, you will see a myriad of videos, and they're great. Great for not for the result of the tornado, obviously, but for the knowledge and the power of Mother Nature. There's going to be a system rolling through Steve's part of the world, and coincidentally enough, on the 26th and 27th, heading through like the Mississippi, Alabama, western part of Georgia. So, and a lot of forecasters and meteorologists are all, and the severe weather chaser guys are all zoning in there because they said back to Texas a couple days earlier, and it could be a monumental storm time about this time next week.
So I may be on the phone trying to still be a good co-host, depending on what transpires. Because, it's one of those, if I have no power, can't very well use the laptop, which means, no power, no internet. But I should still be able to do it on my phone. So let's hope that it's nothing too drastic. So I was about to cut into this. Bob disappears to go get another beer. And I was about to do it again. And now Vinny's not here. So I am at least going to cut into this. Is there a note? Is there a note from Chair in here?
Should be.
Yeah.
Let's see. How do I want to open this? Since this is an awful big bubble mailer.
There could be some Polaroids in there. Who knows?
Oh, time to sell some stuff on the secondary market. Make some big bucks. Is it Chair in a Speedo?
I had that packaged up 2 years ago, so some of those cards may have risen in value, and I might need them back.
So we've got a package inside a package. There's the note. Wow. So I'm going to show you this. To the co-host of the longest running Tuesday podcast about all things hobby related, up and including Magic the Gathering and tennis. Obviously, he wrote this after last Tuesday's episode from Baba Laba Ding Dong Lewis, future impeached YouTuber. Thanks for your friendship. There you go, Carlos. Even he's acknowledged and accepted the impeachment. That'll definitely go into. No, you're not too modest for a Speedo. That'll go into the YouTube PC. I at least actually came prepared with scissors this time. Normally I don't. Only because, I had to prepare Bob's shipment. And there is a ton because, like I said, and I'm not going to go through all of these because a lot of these you're not going to care to see. Yeah. Well, I wasn't expecting that. That's Topps Chrome. Topps Chrome.
That's a pretty good card.
That's all the Topps Chrome. This is all the Topps. So I'm guessing there's got to be, or maybe not. So this is all the top stuff. I'm not Victor, though.
Yeah.
So that's all the Topps. As I almost throw it.
Tough times.
Twice.
You gotta reuse team bags these days.
Yeah, trust me, I know. But that's the one thing, believe it or not, I don't have a shortage of. And then this is all the Topps Chrome. Dave got a Magic card? Oh, that's right. The only Magic card that you own. Which one do I open first, Bob? Or does it matter? Because that's
Who's
I'm
on
not
the back,
looking at the back.
Who's on the back of the Orlando Scary one? I don't know, man. Open the bigger of the two first.
The bigger of the two. They're about the same. We'll save the top loader stuff for last. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. That's what I meant.
And I knew about this one because he had sent this because he was asking, what else I collect. So we've got Eddie Mack. That is a rookie.
High series.
We got another Eddie Mack. Love it. Love Eddie Mack. Bradley Chubb, throwbacks out of score. Shiny. Making sure it wasn't numbered. So a lot of the newer stuff, I'm of course not going to have. We got Drew Lock out of score, red. I'm thinking they're going to stick with him this year.
Yeah.
Just saying. Yep. We got a gold medallion, Brian Greasy.
I work with a Broncos fan. He's like praying that Fields drops to 9. I'm like, that ain't going to happen.
This is my first Noah Fant rookie. So that's awesome. Love these. Love these. This will pair well with my Terrell Davis that I have. Prime Mini. Got John Elway on one side and Anthony Miller on the back. That's a freaking awesome card out of 95. Oh, that's cool. Pinnacle Zenith, Elway. It's at 96 or 97, Dave.
Oh,
Looks like 96.
I think it's 40 minutes.
Always like Zenith always bothered me because it never had like rookies in it. Like
first jersey card of Noah Fant. That's freaking awesome.
Nice.
Is that spec? Oh, no, Prism. Huh. My second non-Terrell Davis Prism. Everybody's favorite. Tommy Maddox. Old school.
I had to throw Tommy Gunn in there.
Still love it. Oh, man, I forget what they call these. Dave, you're going to have to help me. Gary Zimmerman. And it's like the foil board.
Special effects.
Thank you. That's freaking awesome. That's awesome. You like dug deep here. You got a green prism of Elway or green mosaic, excuse me. Love mosaic. This is I still want to open one prism and one mosaic. And then we got an old school. Love it. Yeah, you dug deep. One of my favorite parallels ever. 95 Select Mirror Gold, Anthony Miller. Love it, love it, love it. That's freaking awesome. You kicking some ass, Bob. Yeah, I need some lists. Bad. Prism Elway. Randy Gradishar. On card. Autograph. Love this.
That is. So I figured a Broncos fan might know who that is.
Not a huge beast, but very few autographs. And then Gus Farrat.
Western PA boy.
So if you go back and watch like a realm of videos, that's freaking awesome. I wasn't expecting all of that. That's for sure. I knew about this one because we had talked about it because you showed it. So this is one of the insert sets that I'm putting together, which actually has some sentimental value.
Is Mutombo in that?
I'll be honest with you, Bob. I haven't bothered to look at the checklist.
I think so. Is that the Larry
Could be, right? Stacey Ogman, I think.
Larry? Or Grandmama?
The sentimental aspect of this is when my father passed, he started this set. So once I finish it, it'll have some added sentimental value.
I know. Carlos likes his sours. It's a sour, Carlos, so you wouldn't like it.
And I was afraid Bob was going to do this. I told him not to, but he felt that I needed to have certain rookies in my collection. And if I ever make it to the East Coast and happen to end up in Pittsburgh, PA, I'm going to shove my foot in his ass. Speaking of Ohtani,
Gotta have an Ohtani.
Topps flagship, and I'm afraid what the rest of these are going to be. Son of a bitch. I hate you, Bob. I really hate you.
Nah.
That's an Acuna. I should say Acuna, since it does have the
wavy line.
Yep. Is that Chrome? No, that's Topps flagship. That is flagship.
I kept them all flagship. Yeah.
Okay. And then since that you saw that also Orlando Scary, Sign of the Times, SP Authentic.
One of those 1,000-yard guys they had for 5 years in a row.
Oh, and it's backwards. Bastard. Motherfucker. There's your boy, Carlos and Ed. Juan Soto. Yeah, I'm going to have to find something in like freaking just
No.
Tatis. These will be passed on to my kids. And then I know he asked me about this one too. Topps Jeter. Fucking wow, man. And I don't cuss a whole lot. I seriously was hoping that you weren't going to do that, Bob, but
I had to, man.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you, my friend. More than you understand, and it has nothing to do with this. You and I have had a lot of heartfelt conversations.
Heck yeah.
And I look forward to more of those. And I know it goes without saying, but payback. So DC, I'm going to fair warn you. I should have fair warned you earlier. Earmuffs. Payback is a motherfucker. Just remember that.
It's not
but
about
seriously,
that. You know that.
I know it's not. But I do appreciate you, my friend. Like I said, the helping with the 2 sets is phenomenal. The extra stuff just freaking wow. I need some lists.
Willie Stargell rookie.
That's a little out of my price range.
I didn't even hear what he. Oh, I heard what he said. Okay.
Stargell rookie is what he said.
I caught it. Yeah. No, we're good, man. You had it was sort of a flippant comment, like you didn't have any of the dude, and I'm not. This is not a flex at all. If anybody's watched the channel at all, my dad retail was a thing, and my dad just went nuts, and we had tons of it, man. So, I don't need 12 Acuñas. I can deal with 11. So it's all good.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. I like the cards are great. The care packages are great. The thought and the meaning behind them is fantastic. But it really is the friendships, and it has been an absolute blast.
Heck yeah, man.
Continuing that bond, because we've had some deep emotional. I don't want to say emotional. I don't want to make it seem like we're all like sissy girls or anything. But a true man can express their emotions.
Oh yeah.
And I stand behind that. I was raised by all women, so I can appreciate a good sentimental.
By women on a daily basis.
So it's okay to have those sentimental, emotional conversations. I've had them with everybody on this screen. on a multitude of occasions, and that really is what
What we
makes
do.
the friendship deeper and much more meaningful. So, thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Got it, man.
Wow. I think I'm going to shut up for the rest of the night. I'm not sure I'm going to be worth a damn the rest of the evening.
Steve,
So take it away, guys.
Did you? Hold on, I have a question for Steve. Did you you have cards at PSA right now?
No,
Okay,
I do not.
You're wanting to though, or something, right? All right.
Yes.
I've been getting some emails from. So I've got 4 orders that are out right now. It's like anytime you see an email from PSA, you're like, what is it? So I have an express order. That's a 1-card order. The Dominguez refractor auto. It's in the grading phase, but it could be in that phase for months. And then my 13-card regular service order has entered the grading phase. So who knows? Again, that'll be a long time. But it's like any movement whatsoever. It's a cool thing, man. So I'm keeping the dude updated as that happens for sure. And I'll keep all of you updated. Yeah. We're hoping, I mean, so specifically with the Dominguez, I didn't put a minimum grade of 9 of a 9 or anything, but I don't know how, if it comes back in 8, so be it. I'm thinking it's a 9. From everything that I've seen, PSA is grading a little bit more stricter. So, but I didn't want to spin that. I didn't know if I knew you had some stuff that you wanted to get graded, and I was just seeing if there was any progression there. But
no, I didn't miss the cutoff before they shut down the lower tiered services, and I'm probably going to use Manny whenever it opens back up.
What's up, Matt?
What's going on, Matt?
Yeah.
And I'm debating on leveraging Parish products to prep them. They seem to have good results with some of their stuff. So,
yeah, I missed that sound clip, Ed. I got Mark's in a tough spot with the hobby and everything involving it right now. So I don't think he's made a video in a while. And that's a bummer because when he would come out with something, it would sort of like, all right, now I gotta like sort of one up him or whatever, So we would go back and forth. Not a competition because we're good friends, but the creativity, like the goofiness of it all. So I got to try to get him back doing something. If you guys don't know, Mark, Stove Sports, Stove Investor, Stove Collector, all. If you don't know his stuff,
yeah, Stove, whatever he decides to be that day or week.
Right.
Well, as long as you're keeping in contact with them, and it's
for sure.
He's still doing okay, like personally and everything else. Then that's what's important.
Yeah,
but
he's got a young family too, so like I don't, we get it when we talk about it. Where it's kind of a light life stuff. I don't even want to say getting in the way, just becoming more important than this stuff, So
well, life trumps this. Let's be real. Life comes first, family comes first, and
dude, I told you I had to get all my chores done before, because I said I got a live tonight. I was invited on this prestigious, longest running Tuesday podcast, and I got to make it happen. So let me get my chores done before I go on. I made dinner. I heated a frozen pizza and made a salad. So big point for me.
So the question becomes, though, did you actually make dinner?
So I heated it in the oven, and I removed lettuce from a bag and put it in a bowl, and then removed all the other things from little bags and stirred it all up. Yeah.
So you prepared dinner.
I prepared it, yes. I assembled it, basically.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, she knows my wheelhouse for sure.
Of course, so you're not like me, over the grill, grilling chicken and pork chops and mushrooms and stuff along those lines, right?
When people say like, oh, what would you do with $1 million? Or like, if money wasn't an object, what would you buy? My answer is always, I would have a personal chef to make me 3 meals a day, because it's just and do the dishes. Like, I anything involving the kitchen, it's just like, no thanks. I can do breakfast foods. We know that. Mainly cereal. But yeah, right. I'm pretty good with eggs. But I'm not too creative, that's for sure. So
and then we got Vinny.
Tomato soup and grilled cheese? Yeah. Vinny's probably with a name like Vinny, you gotta be good in the kitchen, right?
Modest at best. The wife's better. But
You know it, right? I subscribe to the Carlos, I eat just because I have to eat. Like, I know I have to eat. I don't enjoy it, really. Unless it's like a chicken sandwich or something.
I enjoy it.
Yes, we already know about your Chick-fil-A sauce. Where's the chicken sandwich, though, for it?
So, a great day in the history of Bob Lewis was the day that I found out Olive Garden bottled their Italian dressing. Until today, when I was not aware that Chick-fil-A bottled their own sauce. So it's a great day in the Bob Lewis world.
I want Arby's sauce. That's what I want.
You can get Arby's fries now, the curly fries at the.
Yes, it's still not the same. I'm just throwing it out there. They're still it's not quite there just yet.
Figure out how to get those potato pancakes or those potato cakes that you can make at home. Oh, I'd be in heaven.
Well, see, so little piece of friendly advice. So at least here you can buy the hash brown patties, which are
wait,
like
can I just interject? Dave turned his camera off. I imagine he's like squirting Chick-fil-A sauce into his mouth.
He could be. He could.
Sorry.
But you can buy like so you go to McDonald's, the hash browns, the patty. It's pretty much the same thing, but potato cakes are like in triangles, I think, or something along those lines. Get you an air fryer and cook them in the air fryer, and they're like freaking perfect.
Yeah, I've done it. But
all the time.
Not the same.
Pretty damn close.
It's the shape that makes the taste, Steve. It's the shape that makes the taste.
Okay, well, I can't argue that point. And Ed, you do realize that's Thousand Island, right? I'm just throwing that out there. The special sauce is Thousand Island.
What special sauce?
On the Big Mac. It's
I'm
Thousand
talking
Island.
about Arby's sauce.
Dude,
I love the Big Mac sauce on fries. Quoting Ed.
Heinz is actually making a ketchup and mayo mix now, and selling that. I didn't know this either. Isn't that the Step Brothers special sauce?
The what?
Step Brothers from the Step Brothers movie. Isn't that the special sauce, mayonnaise and ketchup together?
I can honestly say I don't recall.
It's okay. I won't judge you out loud. What's going on there? I see Pokemon hoodie.
What are you doing? Excuse me.
Nothing. What? I was showing the back of your head.
Why?
Because
Why?
it was my wife is dyeing their
No, it's
bleaching their hair.
So I'm gonna be platinum blonde.
But I wanted to show the
Is there a
Pikachu
Pokemon fan in the
onesie.
house?
Oh,
Yes.
Check this out.
it's from
Pikachu.
Halloween like 3 years ago.
So, the dude is like now buying Pokemon to resell. So, because okay, I don't think I told this, but 3 Fridays ago now, I found out that my Target across the street from my work, Friday is the day that they restock. So, because I was there on Wednesday, March 31st, the day Prism released, and there's like a congregation. My mailman lets me know, like, hey, there's people in the aisle. Maybe he's restocking. So I'd go. It's literally across the street from where I work. I go there, and I'm there, and there's like 3 other people just sitting there, but they don't know either. They're just sitting there. I didn't realize people just sit in the card aisle, right? So then a guy from Target comes over and he's like, hey, Friday is the day now where we stock. You line up out front of the building in the morning at 8 o'clock. We open the doors and everything is handled through the customer service desk. All right, cool. So at least I know when it's happening. I might have a shot at it. So I get there at 5:25 in the morning and I'm 10th in line. So, and I'm talking to these dudes, and apparently, like, this is what they do. There's one guy who, the guy that's in front of me, like, he brought his own chair. He actually had a sign on his chair that said you could rent his chair for an hour for $5. And he was also selling, it was still kind of chilly at night. He was selling 2 packs of hand warmers for $5 as well as his side hustle. But the majority of the people in the line were Pokemon collectors. And they were Pokemon people. I don't even call them collectors. I don't know what they were doing, but they are buying sports cards, selling them on eBay to fund their Pokemon collection. So I told dude this, and he's like, well, I'm going to start buying Pokemon cards and selling those to fund our sports card collection. So I've got I have no idea what I have, but I've got like a stack of Rapid Strike Urshifu V-Box. I got some of these. I got an Elite Trainer box. I got Shining Fate stuff. I have no idea what I have, but I have it, and I've discussed with some people that might have some clue of Pokemon. I'm like, do I sell this now or do I just hold it? And holding it seems to be the way to go. So I don't know, man. It seems a little bit it seems dirty. Like I feel dirty, like buying this from somebody that really wants it to make a profit off of it. But that's what it is. So if anybody's interested in an Elite Trainer box of Battle Styles Pokemon, I got one.
I'll have C call Chair. They can discuss a deal.
Okay.
She's the resident expert of Pokemon and all its vast.
It's pretty wild.
We opened.
Well,
We opened this today.
She gets something from Bob no matter what. If you tell me what she likes. Ooh.
It was a trainer's toolkit, and it had 4 packs in it. So she opened the packs today, and it comes with a stack of energy cards, and these are the they have the
Never seen
penny
anything like
sleeves but it
Oh.
hides.
The
It
back.
has this on the back to hide the back.
Because
So
there is
she
no
got
back
these.
of a Pokemon card.
Well,
You know
I
what?
guess,
Here's a
yeah, true. It doesn't.
Well, is that a foil or something? Borderless.
Yeah, they come. The Dene comes in all of them because this is the second one we opened. So
My kid tried to explain it to me. I don't think she even really knows how to play it. I actually, like, no lie, trying to be a good dad, like, watched like how to play Pokemon videos on YouTube, and I was lost. Every video I watched, I was lost. So I'm just an idiot, or I'm an idiot. But there's actually a guy at work. Okay, so two things from work, actually. So one dude, I was telling him about the Brady from back at the Super Bowl, and he knew I collected cards and stuff, but he was just kind of looking for something else to get into. He just had a newborn, and gaming was kind of his thing, but he can't sit around and just game all day while trying to raise a newborn child, right? So he liked sports. He collected cards as a kid. He's 28 years old now. So, but he's kind of getting back into it, and he's like, so there's an interaction of like asking me questions. And so I hadn't seen him because of COVID and our work situation. Like, there's people are primarily working from home, but we do a lot of field work. And he was in the office to pick up a field truck to go out and do. So anyways, he stops in and just BS's with me for a while. But he's showing me all his pickups. Like, he's into it way more than he was the last time we talked. Like, because this is like a hobby that he can kind of like keep an eye on eBay passively while still kind of being present and doing dad stuff, right? But he's just hearing him talk about like hobby stuff and how he refers to, like, he called like an X, what we would know as an X factor, just the red squares, like, so like it's kind of funny to hear how a new collector, somebody kind of dipping their toe in, refer to different stuff and talk about spectra and how thick he was like how thick the cards were, and it's pretty cool. And just in proof maybe that like it's kind of it's expanding to, and I'm not like taking credit for like getting this guy into the hobby or anything, because you have to, I mean, if you're into sports at all, I think, I mean, ESPN's like talking about it and stuff, so it's out there. Anyways, so 2 weeks ago, my company put out a blanket email to everybody. They're asking employees, hey, what have you been doing in your off hours, like the last year? And so I actually responded to this one. Like, there's none, usually I don't participate in sort of like company propaganda BS, but this one actually seemed like, okay, I can just tell, because it's 2020 was quite a year, right? So I wrote a little blurb, and then they actually got back to me and were like, hey, can you take some pictures of you and your collection and this and that, which I did. And I made the cut. So I was on the GAI Insider page. And from that, I got some emails from different people in the company like, oh, I didn't know you were into cards. And like, why would you know that? Like, I mean, so it's been funny to kind of hear the people that I would least expect, like our safety director emails me. He's like, "Oh, I ended up they want to tell you a story that like they know somebody that is into cards will appreciate. Like their brother-in-law was trying to sell cards and he offered him, he got $50 and the brother-in-law laughed at him because he's like, I was just gonna throw them away. But inside in the collection were like second year Larry Bird cards, and he said there was a Nolan Ryan rookie card in there. So I haven't seen anything, but I gave him my personal email and was like, hey, let's talk cards sometime. So kind of cool how those doors open up. When 2 weeks ago I would have never expected that, and now I'm talking cards with people at work that I never really connected with at all, and now cards are bringing us together. Kind of cool.
Yeah, most of us don't share that information.
Well, I'm fully aware of my nerdy card collecting habit. Like, it's okay. I embrace it.
Well, as they always say, the
Just
the
bragging.
misnomer, it's a kid's hobby, and it's one of those in which, why at your age are you still collecting cards that is a kid's hobby? Well, it's because we enjoy it. What'd you do? Buy one of everything?
It was a kit.
You're fat, and your family knows you're fat when they get this stuff for Christmas for you.
Wow.
My brother knows I love food, obviously, and they have a Chick-fil-A down there, and so I've got, I think, 2 of everything. So yeah, and then he bought, I don't know, a huge box of. He knows I love spicy stuff, but not spicy where it'll ravage your tongue and you can't taste anything, because what fun is that? But there's a bunch of, like the spicy Asian sauces or ramen mixes, and again, I'm not a hard person to buy for. You buy me good spicy food for any time of the year, I'm good. Even for Christmas, you open the box and you're like, oh, spicy chips. Oh, spicy noodles. Yes.
Oh, yep. You better position it right, Bob. Oh no! See, chair is already turning. It's. I guess it's moving to its good side.
Maybe in the light, and what light is given there. No, there's one guy that's a customer at the store that he'll talk. I think his kid was a year older than me in high school. He likes wrestling, so we've talked wrestling before, and oh yeah, he wants to bring his kids up, but just can't get the chance because he's down in Minneapolis. And then it's like, yeah, I haven't been to any wrestling shows. I've just been dumping more money into cards. And he's like, baseball cards? I'm like, yep. He's like, well, what do you got? I'm like, I don't know, a lot. I'm like, you're going to have to narrow that question down. I'm like, I don't have much vintage if you're looking that way. And he had said that he had sent, and so this was shocking to me. He's got a bunch of older stuff, like pre, I don't know, 75, because I know he mentioned a Brett and a Yount rookie. He's got these like saying about like some old Mantle stuff, some old Williams stuff. So I've got it all graded. I sent it down to like somebody in Cincinnati. I don't even remember who it was, some shop down there. And he said, this is what I'm looking for a price. And they offered Y. And he's like, well, no, we're too far apart. And I was just like, I didn't even know you collected. Because he's like, I got a Johnny Bench. I got some Nolan Ryans. I got Mantle. Maris, which, I mean, isn't as big on the dollar value, but you have him. You got Mays. He's like, I got Clemente stuff. And like, one day you're going to have to bring some of that stuff in and let me take a peek. And then there was another guy that I think before the COVID stuff hit, he has, I think, like 4 Nolan Ryan rookies that he brought in. He's one of like he lives in town. I don't even know what he does, but he brings in a specific pizza, a frozen pizza. So he heard me talking, I think, cards one day. He's like, "You collect?" I'm like, "I don't know if collect is the right word, but yeah." He's like, "Well, I've got some old stuff." I'm like, "Well, what do you have?" And he said the Nolan Ryans. I'm like, "You willing to sell one of those?" That's one of the grail cards of yesteryear, looking in that Beckett and seeing it for like 1,200-1,500 back in like 91, 92, 93. And he's like, "Yeah, I'd move one or two." Like, "Well, bring them in sometime." And I just want to see one because, again, I haven't seen one in a long time, probably national in 2011. So he brought that in, and still haven't finalized any deal because he's never given me a price for him. But at least I've got the avenue, possibly, when it's there, to go after that, because that's probably the biggest card on the non-player collecting want list, where everybody would say a 52 Mantle or whatever, 55 Clemente. Mine would be that 68 Ryan, just because it's iconic image, iconic price-wise, and I remember watching Nolan Ryan, and I know he was one of my mom's favorite players when she'd watch baseball along with Kirby Puckett. So those two, I'd like to get autographs one day and give to her. I've got one auto of Nolan, but I'm not giving her the 04 SP Game Used patch auto to 10. That's as much as I love my mom, I'll get her a Topps, like one of those reprint, the actual auto, but the reprint years, whatever it is, 98 or 99. I think those are going to be a little more manageable. Or even a Panini, I don't think she'd even care as long as it was auto. And Goose Gossage, just because she liked the nickname Goose, because I think that was my nickname as a kid. Or my brother's. One of the two, I don't remember. Might have been my brother. I think I was Scooter. I don't know.
That was my wife's nickname. Well, Scooter Bear was hers. I didn't have one.
The hockey circle.
No. That has not carried throughout my years of existence.
The foul-mouthed hockey oracle. I apologize.
That too has not followed me throughout my entirety on this planet Earth. Maybe as I get older, then maybe that would apply. But yeah, I've got more than my fair share of nicknames these days. I'm still trying to figure out how I got some of them. I refuse to question the hockey oracle, because that would take me an entirety, a life's worth of work to research and fully lay out my observations to determine how that even came to fruition. But the other ones, I can argue against frequently, especially considering the more recent diatribe out of Mr. Archer's mouth would clearly indicate that I am not the prime foul-mouthed individual on this podcast. Just saying.
Not according to somebody else who has just sort of disappeared from our collecting world. I don't even know what, but
he's busy with some other thing that will remain nameless or not mentioned.
News to me.
I'm wondering if no, we won't talk about it. Hey, Vinny, wake up.
I'm up. I'm just waiting for my time to talk.
You have to wait? Just
Hey,
open your mouth.
Jump in whenever.
No, you do not need to raise your hand.
when I was a kid, they called me Paunch after Eric Estrada from
Poncherelli.
Poncherello. So my grandfather realized my infinity or my deep love for that show, and he started calling me Paunch. So that was my name, even when I was 20 odd years old. It was always Paunch. So brings a tear to my eye since no one's called me that in 20 years.
And now you'll get it from the better half. She'll start. I love that show. That was, you'd always watch that, or I'd always watch it. TBS, I think, had
Yep.
early or late in the morning, depending on what you want to call it, like 2, 3 in the morning after their movies, because usually maybe a Friday or Saturday when you'd have a couple crappy horror movies on, the Piranhas or something, and Night of the not the lemur, the lepus. So it was the rabbits, the giant rabbits, and they'd be on after that. So I'd watch that for an hour or two, and it's like you can't turn away. That's probably where my fixation with watching people just drive around and really doing nothing came from, and then I translated and transitioned into dash cam videos. So I've got Chips to blame.
Summer Vacation. I just remember watching it all the time.
Was that Dangerfield? Or is that something else?
No, during summer vacation,
Oh, okay.
I would watch Chips right before my grandma would watch Days of Our Lives. So it was all timed. So we only had one TV, and I would get it until the news came on at 12 o'clock, and then my grandfather would get it from 12 to 1, and then she would force him to watch Days of Our Lives when he retired. So it was quite interesting, him describing the soap operas to my aunt, who would tape them during the day and then watch them at night.
That's what my mom did with All My Children, since it was on at noon. We'd come home for lunch, start the VCR, and then when we got home at whatever 3:15, stop the VCR, then just rewind it for her. And I'd usually watch with her because, again, I'm a sucker for a good story.
Yep.
I don't know why I watched those though, but because crashing into sides of mountains and then somehow miraculously coming back to life 3 to 6 months later because whatever storyline you had was not working out. It didn't seem feasible then, and it seems less feasible now.
I've watched my fair share of Salem escapades in my youth.
I had Pine Valley. I think that's where All My Children was.
I was going to say, All My Children, General Hospital. I can't remember what the other one was that my grandmother used to watch. Shane Bieber. But yeah, as a kid, not being in school or not of school age, sitting there stuck watching soap operas with the grandmother because, nothing else was on TV. And that's cool.
It's man-made patch, or
Manufactured.
That's what I wanted to say. But
Still cool.
I thought it was cool.
Cool design.
Yeah, the All My Children, I was talking to one of our deli workers about that, and she just kept looking at me. She's like, how the hell do you remember all this? Like, it was every day for a good 10 years until, like, All My Children were off the air. Like, I remember Palmer and Opal Cortland and Wally Langfeld and trying to remember what his wife.
Oh.
He outlasted him. But I mean, just going through all these names and like Tad Martin and because Dr. Joe Martin, then of course Erica Kane and Adam and Stuart Chandler were played by the same guy that just died. What was it, 2-3 years ago? David. Now, of course, when I need to remember, I don't. But I mean, it was like a 20-minute conversation of all these storylines. Like, how do you? Again, I watched it because it was something to do. That was quality time. So Jackson Montgomery, I mean, Dimitri Merrick.
I blocked all that stuff out.
That's the worst part, that all that shit, I don't need it. I've said it time and time again. There is no reason for me to carry on the storylines or the characters of a fucking soap opera that I never really had much invested in, other than, again, my mom had it on and it's like, whatever, I'll watch it and then watch QVC or watch whatever. It's like, I don't care. Do that, and then now, all those years later, boy, that's great information. That it's doing me well.
The QVC people were like members of our family since my grandmother spoke so highly of them.
Dan Wheeler, God, who's David, the chef.
Oh, I
My
know
mom-
what you're talking about.
My mom loved watching him because he was so
He's
personal.
still on.
Yep. Because I follow, I think, on Facebook his like whatever the QVC profile because I like him. But that's when you had like, I think Kenny Golden was on there too, pimping the scoreboard and classic when he had those way back when, and that Dan Wheeler would do all the football or sports shows and talk about the cards and the jackets, and here's your cool on-field NFC Championship hat, $28.99, 2 easy payments of $14.35. Get it now.
Did Wes sell knives after he did cards?
No, that it was.
A clone thereof.
There was a guy.
He was similar.
I want to say the guy that sometimes helped him on Shop at Home did.
That has to be what it was.
Eddie Lewis was
That
the guy
might be.
because he knew his knives too. He'd like katana blades and all this other stuff, and I'm like, I have no idea what they are, but they look cool. It's like a samurai sword. I'm like, I know what that is.
You get seven katanas with this deal for $399.99.
That's why I'm glad at that point in time I never won the lottery. I'd probably have 4 warehouses full of Bowie knives and katanas and everything else because, hey, that seems like a good deal. Can't go wrong there.
And then there's that coin guy that comes on in the suit and he hawks his coins, the silver dollars.
Yeah, there's a
I'm like, I should get some of those too. I'll have katanas, cards,
coins, everything.
coins. It'll be fantastic.
Don't forget those kitchen knives that cut boots in half.
Oh, yeah.
The Ginsu.
Ginsu knives.
I remember those infomercials. It's like it's going through.
Dude,
Like,
that was the
shoot.
first thing, you know, my dad being the good dad he was, I was like, I saw that and I was like, I want to buy that for mom, you know, and of course I was like, I want to use my money, blah, 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 but he took care of it. I think she still has one of the, and it's not a knife, it's essentially a saw, basically, but they're still around.
I remember I was dating the better half, and she looked at me one day and she said, if you ever buy me a vacuum cleaner for any form of present, I'll break your face. And I knew it was love right then and there.
Even if it's a Dyson?
I think we have like a upright Dyson to try to get the dog hair, since Ghost sheds he sheds constantly. Not a little boy. He was down here tonight. He's blowing his coat. Ghost is blowing his coat. Dryden's blowing his coat. And now it's snowing outside, so they're all confused. They're like, is it winter? Should we put the hair back in? I don't know if we can do that. But they're in their glory out there right now.
How much are you all supposed to get?
Some say 3 inches. It could be a foot. You never know. They're about as accurate could be.
The only profession that make a crap ton of money to be wrong 97, 98% of the time.
There's been one weatherman in the history of weathermen, and that was Joe DiNardo. That dude could tell the weather. I don't know how he did it. I don't know if he sold his soul or what he did. But what was that, WTAE?
Absolutely.
He knew his stuff.
Oh, no. He had
Joe
his own,
knows.
he had his own commercials and stuff.
Joe said it would. That's
Joe
what
said
it was.
it would. That's right. Joe
Yeah.
said it would.
We had Howard Taft. That guy was good.
The president?
Do you remember the Fedco zone?
Yeah, John Fedco. He's on the back of one of Mario's cards.
Really?
Yeah. He was interviewing Mario after they won the Stanley Cup. It's 91, 92, I think it is. It's one of them. Yeah, 91, 92. He's on the back of the card. Remember, what's an Albie Oxen rider? Remember when he came?
Dude, that's so funny you brought his name up. Okay, so I forget what Super Bowl it was, but it within the last 5 or 6 years, and dude, I guess it would have it might have been the Steelers' last Super Bowl, but so he's out on the field. It's like the tail end of like coverage, and he comes across, of all people, Cuba Gooding Jr., right? And so for those that don't know, like Albie Oxenrider he's a sports writer, a local sports personality, news guy in Pittsburgh. And so like it's just sort of like common knowledge that like if you're a celebrity and you've got like a catchphrase or whatever, like Cuba Gooding, show me the money, right? The last thing that you want to bring up is like that. And that's exactly what he did. So he just like randomly like interview, like within 5 seconds though, he's like basically asking him to do the line, and the look on Cuba Gooding Jr.'s face, it's like he just has that like, are you serious? Like, he looks in the camera and then just like walks away, and Albie's like, all right, that was Cuba, like it was so bizarre. I was probably not in my right mind at the time, so I think I probably thought it was funnier than it should be, but it was so bizarre. Anyways, it was probably one of those you had to see it to believe it things, and we'll just end it there because there's nowhere else to go with it. But like, don't be that guy. Basically, don't be that guy. Represent Pittsburgh well, and you did not.
My favorite was Dave Crawley with KD Country every Friday at the 6:30 news.
So, is that the guy that does the? He does all the WQEDs, like. No, you say Crowley?
Dave Crawley. He did KD Country on Channel 2.
But I don't remember that. There's somebody now that's doing like all the like Kennywood reminiscing videos.
Different dude.
Yeah. Oh, what the heck's that guy? Anyways, we're just being real Pittsburgh right now, and people are like, "Come on, man."
No, it gives Dave and I just a chance to sit back and just
right,
chill.
So. Yeah. Lots of I don't know, man. Pittsburgh has its own little like microcosm of like it seems to always be a bubble around it when the country's like going crazy. It seems like Pittsburgh is just sort of like doing its own thing. I don't know. Like we get a blizzard here and there, but we're sort of unaffected from any other natural disasters. There's no real like ever big riots in the streets or like things you got to worry about like leaving your house for. I don't know, man. It's a great place to raise a family. I wasn't sure growing up in the country, an hour outside of here, how that was gonna look, but it's I'm literally 11 minutes from the city, but I know the names of all my neighbors right now. It's like as a neighborhood, it's like what do they say? It's the most livable city, right? The greater Pittsburgh area. I live in Crafton, but my address is Pittsburgh. And that's kind of like true for just about everybody around the city. Like you live in Mount Lebanon, but your address is Pittsburgh. You live in Dormont, but your address is Pittsburgh. So even when I lived in West Virginia, Wellsburg, West Virginia, if I would go to like Myrtle Beach or something for vacation, I never said I was from Wellsburg, West Virginia. I was from Pittsburgh. People claim Pittsburgh a lot. And then the idea of we know it was a steel town and there was a boom there, and then and then that went away and everybody moved away. So that's why there are Steeler fans everywhere. That's why there's a Steeler bar in just about every town, because there's a lot of pride in that city and this city. And I'm a transplant, but I'm still like I claim Pittsburgh to be my own for sure.
There's one here. It's called Tay Roma. It's a Steelers bar, and it's Rick Seaback is who you're thinking of.
That's who it is, man. You're absolutely right. Rick Seaback. It's funny. You go to restaurants here, and there's
he Googled it.
I did. I forgot.
But you knew it, and it was going to drive you crazy for sure.
Yep.
But like you go to restaurants here and there's not like fine art on the wall or pictures of like pretty things. It's like artist renderings of Hines Ward and Terry Bradshaw. So it's just a weird. I mean, it's that city that all the sports teams have the same colors, black and gold. Like that doesn't happen in other cities, So it's weird, it's weird in all the right ways for us, anyways. I think.
When I first started dating the better half, I took her down to the original in Oakland because I wanted to show her where I went to school,
Nice.
And I was like, let me order for you. So I ordered an O-Pie, which is a $5 pizza, which is absolutely delicious. And then I said I would like a large fry. She's like, a large fry for both of us? I'm like, and then they bring out like 6 pounds of fries and they dump it on a tray for you. And she's like, this is what you ate during college? I'm like, those fries cost $3.99 and that pie I ate for $10. I could eat for 2 days on that. I said, that's called economics as a college student.
You could always tell like what borough somebody was from by what their favorite pizza shop was too. Like, so, and it's like, so we're in Dormont. So like Fury's is our pizza shop. But if you lived in Squirrel Hill, it would be Minio's or Aiello's, So it's like every little, some people like Beto's, in Banksville.
Yep.
So that's kind of, I don't know if that's unique to Pittsburgh or not, but you are judged about on like what's your pizza shop,
So like mine growing up was Scotto's, which was in the Uniontown Mall.
Okay.
And it was it was hands down the best pizza I've ever ate because the brothers came from New York. They brought New York style pizza, Sicilian and round. Best pizza I've ever eaten. Went to college on Pitt's campus. They had Napoli pizza, which he was either the brother or the cousin of the guy that ran Villa Pizza at Century 3 Mall. So Tom made a Sicilian. It was a wedge-shaped piece of Sicilian. It was huge.
Wow.
And you got 2 slices of that and a Coke for, I think it was $5.99. And that was my lunch.
When
and then
well, go ahead.
And then there was the Chinese restaurant for $4.99, all you could eat.
Nice.
Frequented that place a lot.
We when we lived in West Virginia, but still, my grandparents were up in Pittsburgh. My dad's from Dormont. When we would go to a Pirate game or a Pens game or something, we would go to Fury's, and they fell in love with it because Pittsburgh or pizza in Wellsburg, West Virginia was just, Pizza Hut. So when folks from church or wherever knew that we were going to go to Pittsburgh, they would put requests in. Like, so we would go to Fury's and get a made pie but uncooked and bring it back to them so that they could put it in their oven and cook it. Yeah. So that became a thing for sure.
There's a guy or a lady that bought a trailer and opened a pizza place called Pizza Wagon in 1960 something, on the hopes when the highway came in that they would just devastate the building, give her money, and she would, 50 years later, she's still selling pizza. So I took the better half there, and they have a sweet sauce, and it's my wife's favorite pizza. So when my friend Roger comes from Pittsburgh for work, comes here, he's always tells her, just bring like 4 or 5. We've brought 4 or 5 back for my kids, and we just get, my dad has those freezer bags. We just shove them in there and get them here. And then I think, what's the 2 brothers in Uniontown now? They're the closest thing. They got Sicilian and New York style. So we've gone from chicken sandwiches to pizza. Things and stuff and things.
I was getting ready to say it wouldn't be an Insert Revolution podcast show unless we talked about food somewhere.
Oh man, that's good. I remember the day that the dude introduced me to the ice balls down on the North Shore. North side now, I guess. Everything's sort of blurs together over there now. But what are the ice balls? They weren't, it's what's the name? It's like just an old guy who has like literally like a cart almost that you push, and you could go to him. He's there every summer. I forget his name though. Oh, did you hear on a whole nother note, Phil Coyne, the pirate
he passed
usher?
away.
Yeah, man. He has an Allen and Ginter card actually from a couple years ago. Yep.
He was 100 years old.
102, I think. That was what he said. 102.
He was an usher
at Forbes Field. Like, so he saw Clemente play and he saw McCutcheon play. It's like to span that. What the stories that guy must have had, man. Wow. Pretty cool.
Do you remember
that makes news, when an usher at a pirate usher makes like local news, and it's like people know the guy. It's kind of cool.
Remember the Coke here guy from Three Rivers Stadium.
So my dad was a beer vendor at Three Rivers, and he actually still had his, like, they were bright orange, and it said beer 50 cents on the pin that he would have to wear around the stadium. Yep. Kind of cool.
50 cents now, they're $927.
Yeah. $11 for a beer, $13, man.
We had Rita's Italian ice.
them hockey fans are richer than other sports fans. Good night, Dad.
No, that's not good night.
No.
That one stays up later than I do.
Ed, we have Rita's Italian ice.
Mm.
That's what we had.
The old Ritas. We have Ritas. Isn't that a national thing? Is that not national?
There's not one here in Michigan.
Wow.
What's up, Brad?
Brad always late to the party, right around the time we're about to wrap up. Because we are coming up on the 3-hour mark. Time check.
Oh, Dave, where's it at? Those things you were talking about the other day, the Stanley Cup journeys from last week.
Oh, yeah.
You got the regular season, you got the postseason, and then you got raising the cup.
Okay.
So you go from $9.99 to $8.99 to $7.99, and they're charging. Unless you get these on bids, they're charging like buy it now is like, I think the $7.99 they want like $20 for it. It's like insane. Number to $7.99.
And they're basically, again, for all intents and purposes, that's the same card. I mean, I get different pictures, but there's nothing like, okay, this one's like a wood card. Here's your refractor foil, and here's a acetate.
They're all the same.
Foil board. Yay.
I started, I think there's 17 players, and I ended up getting a lot that nobody bid on. I got it for like $7 and like 27 cards. So I've been trying to put that set together, but they just want some outrageous prices. So I'm going to wait for about a year when Synergy isn't apparently the hot product, which it never was forever. This year it was going for $160 a box, which is insanity. Because after the season, those boxes were like $50 because nobody wanted them. But because of Lafreniere, that was his first card in any product. So everybody wanted Synergy.
For my 160 was what I paid for my Upper Deck Series 2 hobby box. That's the first hobby box I bought in ages.
I can't bring myself to do it.
If I wouldn't have got the Kirill, or how do you say his first name?
Krill. Yeah.
It would have been I would have, in like today's terms, it would have been a loss.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what these cards are so priced so high, because when you got a $160 box and you say, well, I want to make a profit from it, a card like this becomes a $20 card, which is insanity. Yeah. I mean, to me, this is 6-7 to number to $9.99, maybe
4 or 5. But it's newer product, so Ultra Modern has a tendency to have a little bit more of a premium these days on something numbered for whatever reason.
So there's a guy named Philip Evans. Anybody ever heard of him?
Plays for the Pirates.
I didn't think so. Right, he plays for the Pirates. So his rookie is 2018 tops, right? He's in a Mets uniform. I've got some of his base. I went and looked. I was going to try to pick up a parallel of his, right? There was somebody had the black to 67 on eBay. They wanted $80 for it or best offer. For Philip Evans, I said I gave him a $20 offer. I was like, and that is ridiculous for that card. Denied. I'm like, all right. It's sold for $74. Somebody bought that card for $74. Because he's batting 340 in the first couple weeks of the season. What? I don't know, man. Good for that guy that sold it for $74. Bad for that guy who bought it.
Yeah, Paul
That's
Stutzla is a good one too for Series 2. The guy from Ottawa. He's pretty solid so far this year for his
I'll have
rookie
to check.
campaign.
I have to check to see if I got him. I
Yeah.
didn't actually look. So I got 5 other young guns in that box. I didn't even check. I haven't looked to see who else I got, if there are any names.
He's with the Ottawa Senators.
And there was a goalie, Kevin something for Chicago,
Yep.
and then Cousins for Buffalo.
Yep.
And those
I'm
are-
waiting.
I didn't see the checklist, but I know those are the quote unquote main ones right now.
Upper Deck's going to do an update series for the first time with 25 young guns. It's coming out. They don't call it Series 3. They call it Upper Deck Update. So that's going to be like Topps Update. So there's going to be 25 young guns in there, but there's no. I'm waiting for Tyler Zagrass from the Ducks and Caulfield from
Montreal.
Montreal. Those are my two. So when they hit, I'll be buying.
I wonder if Spencer Knight's going to be in it because he made his debut tonight for Florida.
Yeah, he'll be in Series 1 next year. Series 1 next year is going to be loaded with some decent talent. And then Series 2 will be everybody from the draft this year. So, and then update whatever it is next, because once you release the beast, every year there will be update.
Mm-hmm.
25, so 75 125 young guns a year now.
They'll know how much money they'll get, and they'll be like, okay. They see the dollar signs, and they know. They've seen it with Topps, and they've done it well with updating baseball, and I don't blame them. You got to take the money where you can, and yeah, because there'll be I don't know if you guys have the app on your phone that trade rumors. That's the one I usually, instead of ESPN, because again, the ESPN really doesn't give much out for actual information. You've got to dig through the site. With the trade rumors, you can sort of customize it to like what sports you follow, and then if you have like teams that you're big fans of. That's where I do a lot of my hockey watching and reading up on, because otherwise you try to go to ESPN. Like I said, there isn't anything on there about hockey. Nothing. So on there, there's been the flurry of signings over the last 3 weeks, because again, once the NCAA is done, a lot of these guys that are either have been drafted already can sign, or if they're free agents and like seniors, they can sign wherever. Some sign with the contract that you burn it up in that first year, or some sign like a 2-3 year deal where it doesn't count against the NHL contract. So it's always fun to see that and see some of the local talent up this way, just to see where they're heading off to. And I think the Flyers have 1 or 2 of the guys from UMD, Minnesota Duluth, which faltered.
Do you know any of these names? I don't expect you to, because I know how Young Guns works sometimes. But it was my other 5 Young Guns in that were Mason Marchment for the Panthers. He's a left winger. I did get a Pens guy who I don't even know, Anthony Angelo. And Keegan Kolsar, Chase Prisky, and then Kevin Lankinen for the. He's a goalie for the Chicago Blackhawks.
That's a good one. That's one I know.
Yeah, I guess that's a start. If you at least heard the player, right?
Well,
Hockey Oracle, you're just sort of taking it all in at this point.
Doesn't even take it off mute. Yeah, Lankinen, whatever his name is. It was
Yeah,
either him.
Lankin.
It wasn't even him to begin the year as their goalie. They've got PK Subban's brother, Malcolm, who's supposed to be one of the goalies, and both of the guys they had, him and whoever the other one was, just were dog shit right out of the gate. So it's like, well, let's try this dude, and he's done relatively well for him. I mean, he's in the if
Okay.
it wasn't Kaprizov pretty much running away with the Rookie of the Year, he would be the guy that probably would win it.
And then it was I did get a canvas young gun, Dylan Coughlin for the Vegas Knights. Don't know, defenseman. Hockey's
Sure.
been fun. I mean, it's like I liken it to Bowman baseball because I don't know anything about any of the players, and I might not for a couple years.
Come on, Bob. It's Bauman baseball. Jeez, can you get it right?
I know.
How many times do we have to go over this?
You want me to instantly judge you? Say Bowman.
Yeah. You gonna judge somebody if they say Don Russ instead of Donruss?
Dunruss. No, I like up north collectors. I can't help it.
I wasn't alluding to anybody
I know.
specifically.
Well, it's funny. I think so. They referenced it in their in one of their videos how somebody dogged them in their comment section for that, but they didn't change it. They can credit to them. They just keep saying it the way that they've always said it. You know what I mean? So it's
Nothing wrong with that
right,
either.
Right. It's right for them. Which who cares? We know what you're talking about. You know.
Stop back talking. That is unacceptable.
You tell him it's unacceptable.
You see how well it worked, right? That means the better half has that means better half has gone to bed, so now he's on dog duty.
So to be economical, I buy the treats for toy dogs because you get like 150 of them, and then they just stare at you for a while, and then once they get unruly, then you give them one.
They go away.
For a few minutes, and then they come back.
Yeah.
I'm still giving my dog milk bones.
No milk bones. Milk bones are bad.
Probably why my dog still misbehaves.
We don't give
Why are
treats.
milk bones bad?
Something in them. I was reading my older dog that passed away in 2012, and my wife had her before we met, and I was reading the ingredients in there, and then I was like, that's not good. So she died of cancer, and a lot of the doctors are telling me, well, don't give them milk bones. Milk bones, whatever's in them.
It's like it's just I hear you, man, and I'll pay attention to it more. But it's like, why are they even on the freaking market then? If they
that's
kill
what I
dogs?
understand. So
Now I'm feeling guilty.
Time for another.
yeah,
Contract.
I don't know how true it is.
Yeah.
I'm not a dog scientist, but 2 vets told me that, and I don't know.
They went to school for a long time, so I believe that they probably know better than me.
Yeah. So that's what I stopped giving them milk bones under the advice of 2 veterinarian consultants.
Well, on that note, we've now surpassed the 3-hour mark. Any closing comments?
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
All right, Dave.
Harold freaking
Unless we
Baines.
have do what, Bob?
Harold freaking Baines. That's my closing comment.
Unless anybody has anything in the comments that they'd like to bring up while Dave starts to go on his closing diatribe.
I think we did well. We went through our sort of narrowed it down to the YouTube experience, which is good because we could have went for 6-7 hours if we just did an overall encompassing year-long last 365. Thank Vinny. Thank Robert joining us tonight, adding to the conversation, enhancing the conversation. It's been fun. Next week we'll have fun as well, and the week after that will be fun as well. So if you have anything, if you're listening to this in the archived mode, you got your story for the last 365 days, good, bad, indifferent. Drop it in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, join our Patreon, Discord, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, OnlyFans. Join the team. And by the team, you have to join it with. So thank you for watching. And it's not always it's about the collecting of cards. That's great. But I'm Steve and I'm Dave. Remember the main thing: friendships. Forge them, water them, grow them, maintain them. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
You guys.